What Happened Next? Codex Armageddon. Written by Andy Chambers, Jervis Johnson, and Gavin Thorpe. Page 4. Narrated by R.J. Bailey.
Orcs are never beaten in battle. We can always come back for another go.
Anon. What happened next? Ghazghkull was not idle following his defeat in the Second Armageddon War. Retiring to his stronghold, a network of systems controlled by his forces in the Golgotha sector, he carried on with the master plan that had been revealed to him by Gork and Mork years before. If the Imperium made one terrible mistake following the Second Armageddon War, it was to consider that Ghazghkull had been defeated. This was far from the truth. What the Orc gods had revealed to Ghazghkull, or rather, what he said they had revealed to him, was that in order to destroy your foe, you must first know him. For Ghazghkull, the war had been a way to learn how the Imperium would react and deal with a major invasion. In effect, Ghazghkull had been doing little more than testing the Imperium's defenses. In the decades that followed the war, Ghazghkull carried on with his master plan. Having learnt all he needed to know about Imperial strategy, he began practicing the tactics that he felt would lead to his enemy's defeat. As he did not want to draw undue attention to himself, these experiments were carried out on a much smaller scale from the invasion of Armageddon. From 945 to 959 M41, the Imperium received numerous reports of small raids and attacks against Imperial bases and outposts that were led by Ghazghkull Thraka personally. Then, in 962 M41, an Imperial military base on Buka 3 was annihilated by missiles fired from an Orc base hidden on an asteroid. The asteroid entered the system from deep space and bypassed all the Imperial sensors undetected before unleashing its deadly missiles at the unsuspecting target. In 972 M41, the Imperial agri-world of Chigon 17 was overrun by a massive force of Orcs, allegedly under Ghazghkull's command. Despite the fact that the Imperial Guard defenders were well equipped with tanks and other vehicles, they were defeated by the Orcs in a lengthy guerrilla campaign which rendered the Imperial forces utterly useless. In 986 M41, the Imperial battlecruiser, the Radiant Way, along with its attending escorts, were lost with all hands in a sudden attack by Orc pirates, again led by Ghazghkull. The Imperium responded in force, but discovered that the Orcs had disappeared by the time they arrived. Most recently, Ghazghkull allied with the Orc warlord Nazdrag Ug Erdgrub to make a vicious assault on the Imperial planet Piscina 4. The Orcs used a previously unknown type of teleportation device which enabled them to maneuver their troops directly onto the planet from a space hulk located a massive distance away from the planet. The Imperial garrison was taken completely by surprise, and only the presence of Space Marines from the Dark Angels chapter saved Piscina from being overrun by the alien hordes. However, the second defeat was of little consequence to Ghazghkull, for, with the completion and testing of his new teleporter, he was finally ready to unleash his full force against the Imperium. A plan that had been 50 years in the making was about to reach fruition.
Last known transmission from Task Force Trajan. Priority level, military intelligence utmost urgency. Transmitted, Fire of Heaven, Fleet Flagship, Desedna's System. Date, 3453999 M41. Transmitter, Astropath Prime Spartax. Receiver, Astropath Terminus Ragnafar. Author, Admiral Trajan. Thought, Sorrow awaits the foolhardy. Over the last 48 hours, Earth Standard, I have received transmissions from over 24 Imperial planets in this sector, indicating that they are under attack from Orc raiders. Attacks are spread over a 500 light-year radius. All indications are of a major Orc assault on a scale unknown in living memory. In all cases, the Orc attackers have appeared on the planet without warning, and have used the element of surprise to their advantage. Our best estimate is that 7 sparsely populated worlds have already been lost. See attached subfiles, Alpha 1 through 7 and Beta 8 through 29. Upon learning of the Orc attack, I positioned picket ships at the periphery of our system. Within the last hour, their long-range sensors have picked up Orc ships entering the outer reaches from deep space. I am proceeding to attack and destroy the invaders. We are the Emperor's sword. They cannot stand before us. End transmission.
You have been listening to What Happened Next? Codex Armageddon, page 4. Codex Armageddon was written by Andy Chambers, Jervis Johnson, and Gavin Thorpe, and narrated by R.J. Bailey. Thank you to Andy Chambers, Jervis Johnson, and Gav Thorpe for writing the fiction I grew up with. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a review where you found it, or like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, depending how you're listening. This production, like all of Oldex, is entirely unofficial and uncommercial. From an out-of-print publication, is a derivative work with all copyrights owned by Games Workshop, and is a celebration of the hobby and lore I grew up with. If you have suggestions for other old Codex fiction for me to narrate on this podcast, you can comment, contact me on Twitter @RJBailey, or email robertjbailey@gmail.com. Links are in the show description.